We got Florida taking on Texas. Florida's going down to Texas, Austin, Texas. Should be a really exciting one. Looking forward to seeing, how Texas continues to build on that win they had against Vanderbilt this past week, or 2 weeks ago, correction. And for Florida, obviously tough loss to Georgia. Newer team coming out here with Aiden Warner. For this game, 21.5-point spread. Vegas thinks that Texas will take care of business. But, what do we think here at the new SEC podcast?
I think, we got to take everything into consideration, and the quarterback situation being the biggest piece of that. I will say, in Florida's defense, with what Aiden Warner came in the game and did, he wasn't practicing as a QB1. He's been QB3 on the roster, walk-on, transfer from Yale. We don't know necessarily what his ceiling is, what he can come out and do. I don't think it will be pretty. I don't think it will be a drastically improved performance for him from last week. But getting a week of practice in, getting prepared for a team, should Lagway be unable to go in this game, which is likely, he may be able to do something. I think the piece in this is that they're kind of playing with house money. Build confidence, let him take some shots. You don't have the arm that Lagway had in the downfield threat. But right now, they may show something interesting that could shake up the game because they have nothing to lose.
Yeah, they definitely could show something really interesting. And I think a key for this game is going to be building on the running game, right? Taking advantage of what Jaden Ball brings to the table. Hopefully you see Montrell Johnson comes back in this game as well. Obviously, he played pretty well against Tennessee a couple of weeks back. This Texas defense is not going to make it really easy for them from a rushing defense perspective. They're sitting at, top 3 in the SEC, giving up around 135 yards a game on the ground. But I think this will be a key for Florida when you have a young quarterback who's only played in one game, and this will be his first official start at the SEC level.
Yeah. Texas right now giving up around 3.1 yards per carry to opposing running backs, like 5th in the SEC. You mentioned that piece there, and it depends. Will Florida be able to get the running game going here, or will they have to lean on the quarterback? I think they're going to come out with something a little bit split. Like I don't think this is one of those quarterback injury situations where they're going to come in and just pound the rock because they don't trust this guy. Like we saw them in that game. They're tight game, and they were still having him out there throwing the ball a little bit. Like, There's some confidence to it. It's confidence with a grain of salt because of, his inexperience as a starting quarterback, his age, and kind of the prestige of, but he walked onto a Florida team. He was a walk-on transfer. Like the guy's got something. It's not a QB1 potential, but he has something. So talking positively on Florida, Florida defensively, I think on the other hand, can keep them in a game. Like Florida defensively is improved in insane amount from week 1 against Miami.
Yes. And that was kind of where I've been touching on just where Billy Napier stands in the season. The team has looked significantly better since Miami. They've looked significantly better since that game at home against Texas A&M. This defense could certainly give some trouble to Quinn Ewers, who's had some turnover challenges this season. I think, roughly 4 to 6 in the last couple of games, interception wise. If Florida's able to create some turnovers, that's going to be critical for them to have a chance to stay in this game. And then for Texas, limiting the turnovers will be key. Getting ahead early. We didn't fully see that against Vanderbilt, but they had good game control. If they have that game control, they'll be fine. But getting ahead early for them and, having Aiden Warner play from behind is a lot different than having his confidence ahead and then being ahead in the game.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And the turnover battle is going to be huge in this one. If, taking the first few drives of the Oklahoma game that Texas was in, you take the UGA game last week versus Vandy, the 2 picks that Ewers had in that one against a not stingy Vanderbilt defense. Right now, Florida, if you're just taking the last 3 games, looking at recency, they're first in the country in interceptions per game. Mm-hmm. They're getting turnovers, and that's Tennessee, Kentucky, and Georgia that they're getting those picks against. Now, Tennessee and Kentucky, we know the problems there. We know the problems with Georgia, but these are big marquee matchups. So I expect Florida's defense to show up. Where I see concern in this game for Florida is should the offense not get going, you're going to see the Florida defense on the field often. They may get a turnover here and there. They may force some short possessions from Texas, but Texas, I think, will have lots of reps on offense because although I think that Florida could show something, I think that everything is yet to be determined. I think that more often than not, Florida could find themselves punting the ball in this game.
Yep. And that's what we saw, right? It was really tough for them to convert on 3rd downs last game. A lot of stalled drives. if there's short drives, the defense is on the field a lot, like you mentioned. Eventually, that bend but don't break defense is going to break. And with the weapons that Texas has, they can afford to turn the ball over a couple times, but still have the opportunity to get Gunnar Helm involved and get a touchdown from him as a tight end, or get Ryan Wingo involved in the game and get some of these other guys like Matthew Golden as well on their side. That's what poses some challenges. But you mentioned, you talked about the interceptions and what they've been able to do in terms of turnovers. What do you think are the keys for Texas in this game that we maybe haven't already touched on?
Yeah, I think I want to see them be efficient. The offense to start fast. Don't turn over the ball. Don't play around. Play the style of offense with the players that you have. The running game has been spotty at times in getting it really going. It's tough to say an ideal key for this game, but with Texas's pieces that they have, that they could put a complete game together on the field, and this would be the one to do it, because you
Yep.
want to build that momentum for Arkansas, Kentucky, and Texas A&M coming up. If you play your game, you will find yourself in the winner's seat for this. For Florida, we don't know anything about Warner. We know a little bit from last week against Georgia. Show something interesting. Come out, hopefully practice this week. They put a package together. They have some playmakers on offense. Maybe there's something that we don't know about.
Yep. There could be, right? And I think that something is coming from the running game and be coming from Elijah Badger potentially. What would Texas have to do to make people feel extra confident they're national championship contenders? I know we did a segment on it. This is another great litmus test for them to prove that. How impressive would they have to look with the 24-point spread? And do you think they hit it?
Yeah, I would want to see. I think the thing that shows the national championship contender status from them is the quarterback play and confidence in the pocket. Finding the receivers, they have weapons. Find the receivers, sit in the pocket, make the right decisions. If you see a Quinn Ewers, you want to leave this game with fans not questioning if Manning should go in. I think those fans are wrong that say that at this point in the season, but there are people that do it. You want to silence that.
Yeah,
that is what I want to see from this team, and it comes from the quarterback position.
And I felt the exact same way, right? It still kind of feels like there's this upside of what could be behind him, but what Quinn's upside truly is. And we know we're seeing a good Quinn. We're not seeing a great Quinn. We're seeing a good Quinn. And it's, if you see a great Quinn Ewers, you dispel those concerns about putting in, Manning. It makes it a much better game for them. I like Texas in this game by 2 touchdowns. I'm going to say 35-21.
Okay. All right. I think Texas gets it done 30-10. I think it's sitting right there around the spread. I'm going to stay away from it. It'll be interesting to see what this Florida offense can do. Texas, I think, may have trouble scoring in just a exceptional volume to cover the spread. So it could be a good game. It could be a better one than maybe we expect.